Good Sunday morning, Tri-State. This is the Charlie Butler Show, and I'm Charlie Butler, along with my cast of clowns. Maybe I'm the clown, and they're the actual the cast.
You're the clown.
I'm the clown. Okay. That voice you heard was Candace DeArmond. Candace is the president of Butler DeArmond Real Estate Network and the Charlie Butler team. So, good morning, Candace.
Good morning, Charlie.
How are you this morning?
I'm doing okay.
Anything exciting you want to tell?
You know, I might have something later, but right now I can't think of anything.
Okay. I guess my job that you always wanted me to get you fixed up, I don't guess I need to do that anymore, do I?
No, you do not. No.
Okay. Candace,
No,
Cori.
I never wanted you to fix me up.
You beat me. I was trying to. You knew I was going to tell Cori. Yeah,
I did. Yeah. They were all
I found her some rich guys. I mean,
married and old rich guys. Yeah.
The married part. I
mean, they're like my dad's age. I'm like, gross.
I'm sitting here thinking, don't forget who's the host of the show, okay?
Well, you're also like my dad's age.
Candace knows our longtime office manager, Deanna Herm. Deanna also had her real estate license. It's been a few years ago. And she comes in, and she had these clients she'd been working with, and she said, I can't take working with these old people. And I said, Deanna, you may want to, kind of watch your words here, okay? And she goes, no, she said, yeah, I know you guys are about the same age, but you don't act old, though. Said, they act old. I don't know what that is, but smart aleck. And to Candace's right is our guest for the second week in a row. One of our favorite guests, actually, Candace.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
thanks.
You really are.
Thanks.
You really are. Is Cori Walton. Good morning, Cori.
Good morning.
Something we didn't talk about last week, and I think since you haven't been on it for several months, is it's now just not Cori Walton, it's the Cori Walton team.
Yes. I think in November.
I think we talked about it a little bit, but I don't know if we talked about that much.
No.
So who you got on your team?
So I have Rebecca Bush, Kristen Block, and Christopher Mills.
Of course, we know Rebecca, and Rebecca's been on the show, I think. Yeah,
she has.
Rebecca's an excellent realtor.
Oh, absolutely. I blame her for having the team because she's been hounding me to start one for a while. So it's her fault.
But you're glad to have her.
Oh, I love Rebecca. Yeah.
First time I really got to talk with Rebecca was when we were freezing at your sister's wedding.
Oh, really?
You obviously remember that.
Yeah.
And we went outside, and Rebecca, I had just a lightweight jacket.
Did you wear Rebecca's coat? Did she offer her coat to you?
No. No, Rebecca didn't wear a coat.
Yeah.
If I recall right, her husband, she wound up wearing his coat. That's the way I remember it anyway. That would turned out to be a little chilly.
It was cold. That was November, I think.
Yeah, it was, yeah. But it was colder than what I remember getting there. I didn't realize it was going to be an outdoor wedding. Mm-hmm. So now Rebecca didn't either. And we did not dress for an outdoor wedding in November.
Yeah.
But that would be your sister have an outdoor wedding in November.
Yep. Yep. Actually, probably my mom's idea for that. I don't remember a whole lot of her wedding because I was the peacekeeper in between those two, but it was a beautiful wedding.
We started talking about unusual stories, things we've all done a lot of deals, and the one when we ran out of time last week, I was going to tell was I had a client call me, and I'd been talking to him about listing her house, and she calls me. She says, "Yeah, I'm ready to list this," and she says, "But he's not going to be in the picture." I said, "Well, he's got a sign." I said, "You said you're both on there." "Yeah, we are. He's got a sign." "Well, that blankety blank will sign what I tell him to." And I said, "I'm sorry." I said, "Did I miss something?" She said, "All you missed was me coming home, and he'd left his laptop open, and I guess was having a video chat with his girlfriend.
Oh, oops.
Oh.
And she didn't find that funny.
Were they going to sell their house before that happened?
Yeah, we were talking to. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I think they. I don't know if they would have. I mean, they want the information, but I think that was a push over the edge. And you may know her. I can't think of her name. She was a Hooters girl. And Candace worked at Hooters.
I did not work at Hooters, but I may know her.
Yeah, and I cannot remember her name, but.
And if you would have worked at Hooters, it would have been fine.
I know. There's nothing wrong with Hooters, but I did not work there.
Now, let's get something straight. I get blamed for kidding you so much, okay? Uh-huh. This is not just me that thinks you worked at Hooters, is it?
I know. It's not. And I think, so one of my best friends bartended at Hooters for years.
Okay.
And I was friends with some other girls that worked there, too. And I lived near there. So I would go to Hooters a lot. And I guess people would see me in there, and then they would think.
That sounds like it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, she had her orange shorts on, too.
I did not have my orange shorts on. Oh, yeah. No, that was it. So now anytime Hooters is brought up, there's always my time
back when
working
Candace
at Hooters.
worked at Hooters.
Yeah, well, okay.
Oh, that's funny.
So, now, difficult clients. You don't expect difficult clients when you $750,000. Is that what that sale price was?
It was $720.
$720.
Yeah.
Top dollar for that house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm going to let Candace go from there because these were some of the more difficult clients.
They were awful. I mean, they don't want an open house, and don't you do open houses? And they get a verbal offer. Well, anytime there was a showing, are they finished yet? Are they finished yet? Are they finished yet? Yeah. Do you want me to bug them and make them feel like they need to rush through your $720,000 home?
Oh, gosh.
And within the first week, I got an offer, but it was the agent didn't write it down. It was verbal. Well, I couldn't make him write it down, and I explained that to them. This is what he said. He said he'd write it up. Mm-hmm. Well, that made him mad. And then whenever he did write it up, that made him mad. They were just very difficult to deal with. Yeah,
the people that won't let you show their house.
Oh, yeah. It's like,
just let me sell your house.
Right. If I can't show it, I can't sell it.
Yeah.
And
difficult. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. But no, they're the ones that call, why isn't my house sold yet?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it might help if we could show it.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how these people did.
Yeah.
Even though they did get an offer, within 2 weeks, they had an accepted offer.
Oh,
and they still were a nightmare. I was out of the country, and they were calling me.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I finally called the wife and said, just call me.
Which they still just called me.
They still just called.
Yeah.
Then when they did call me, they would also call Candace.
Yeah.
So
she's out of the country selling our house. Well, I had that trip planned long before you ever called me to sell your house. Yeah. That doesn't mean my whole life gets put on hold. And nothing was missed. Everything was, they just were not nice people at all.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, and I don't want to pat Candace on the back here, but she did a good job on this deal, and I never thought that they would get that price for that house.
Yeah,
I don't think
they barely did get the price for that house, but they got what they wanted, and
they're lucky the people were from out of town.
Very lucky,
and weren't in a hurry.
Yeah,
or they did. Well, you know what they've told them.
So I thought of a difficult client, but it wasn't my client. I actually had the buyer.
Okay.
Trying to get a showing was near impossible. The house was vacant-ish. I don't think the person was living there. And the listing agent had told me that this is probably one of the most difficult sellers that he's worked with. He did get us a showing. We got an offer accepted. All was going pretty smooth. Unfortunately, my buyer's financing fell apart. And, that's one of our worst nightmares, or at least mine.
Yes.
But it happens. Things happen. So unfortunately, we had to mutual release it because she could not get financed. Well, this seller writes me a bad Google review saying that I brought an unqualified buyer to the home, wrote a bad review for me on like 3 different sites. There was nothing I could do. And then once he fired the listing agent, he then wrote that listing agent a bad review. Which comparing the 2 reviews, I told the listing agent, I was like, man, I wish mine was as nice as yours. Mine was worse than yours. So that was a fun one because that was totally out of my control, but go ahead and throw me under the bus because that's what we're here for.
Well, I don't think I think people think, here's what I think a lot of people think. Well, they're getting paid either way. So they don't really care if I sell my house. What's the truth, guys?
No.
Yeah, no.
We don't get paid unless it closes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean.
And then we spend a lot of money
Yeah.
in the meantime before it closes. That's something that I think people don't realize too.
Yeah.
Is
all the money spent just hoping.
Right. Yeah.
There's one of the top agents in the country, Ben Kinney, back when he did listing appointments himself, and people would complain in his market, 6% commission was, obviously negotiable, but that was that's what that's what Ben charged. So if they complained, he'd put 6 $1 bills out there. And he'd say, okay, the first 3 go to my broker. No, I'm sorry. First 3 go to the other agent. Okay. Here's 1 for my broker. I got to pay my broker. Broker gets 1. So he's down to 2. He said
advertising and
no, that's the last thing. Then there's something else in there. I forget
taxes.
Taxes, things like that. Yeah. So pulls another one off. He said, by the way, do you want your house advertised? Well, he said, of course they'll go, of course we're going to advertise. There's $1 bill left. He tears it in 2. There's what's left for me.
Yeah.
And then if those people change their mind and don't want to sell their house, then
you're just out
we're
that money.
negative.
Yeah, that's it. There's nothing we can do about it. We just have spent that money. So when people see these big commission checks, you need to realize we're getting
a fraction
of that. A fraction of that. On a good day with everything paid for, we might get 40%, 30 to 40% of what.
Yeah, I think the taxes is a huge thing, whereas like a person that clocks in at work, they see their paycheck, and how it's divided. But when they sell their house, all they see is that full dollar amount going to us. And I'm like, half that money's going to Uncle Sam. So
right. Yeah.
And it's a good idea for that any new agents who are listening or anybody that works on commission is set up a separate bank account and put at least 30 to 40% of your money into that account.
Put it in there and forget about it.
And that account doesn't exist except to pay the government. Because you will. I've talked to people. I remember everybody talks about, you get realtors together talking about the first year. There's a realtor told me, we're sitting at I was buying her signs when we started to come. And we're sitting at her house. She pats the house and she says, yep, second mortgage on this baby the first year. Because I didn't say, and there's story after story of people that didn't, Because that first year, I can tell you the first year I made really good. I never made money like that. And so put a few thousand in the bank, go out and, have a good time. Me and my wife would go places. And then it became tax time. Yeah. Fortunately, I went to my accountant in November. And I said, here's probably what's going to happen in December. He asked me. And he said, and here's what you're going to owe. Well, I said, I used to not make that in a year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Luckily, my husband is smart with how I just put money in the bank and he just divvies it where it needs to go and has it set aside for taxes. But 2023, I think 2023, I sold about $12 million that year. And we sold a personal property in Kentucky, which was like our farm. That was a rough tax year. That was a very rough tax year. So last year for 24, I only sold like $8 million. So that $4 million in difference was a huge difference in what I needed to pay in taxes.
So your quarterlies, you'll be paid ahead.
Yes, but it was rough because of my quarterlies that they estimated from 23.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been through the same
Yeah,
thing.
so that was rough. So this year should kind of get back to normal because 23, for whatever reason, was an insane year for me.
Well, you'll be back to that.
I sure hope not.
No, but you'll save for taxes. No, I mean to the $12 million.
I don't know. That was a very busy time.
Yeah. Well, it'll get busy.
I know. It'll be fine.
Business is okay now. It's just not, you were there. It's still in the COVID time somewhat, and that was crazy.
Yeah.
During that time.
Well, I think for 23, a lot of my sales were from the beginning of the year, kind of still, because I feel like 21 and 22 was crazy.
They were
It's nuts.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, very crazy.
And well, those of us that were working, there was a lot of people not working, and so everybody wanted to buy a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what it was during COVID.
The interest
The
rate.
interest rates, yeah.
Well, the interest rates, I get it. I get that. Yeah.
I liked it because the people that were selling had been stuck in their house for a year. So I felt like all the houses on the market were like magazine ready because everybody had a full year of like DIY projects.
Well, yeah. If I don't know about you guys, but I could go walking in my neighborhood, my old neighborhood, where we had our house built during that time. But never mind. I don't. And yes, and 2 3/4% interest rate. So
Yeah.
but you'd go out walking, and you'd see projects started.
Oh, yeah.
You'd see Lowe's or Menards stuff all stacked up there. And but also, as I'm going to beat Candace to it, I know she's thinking about it. We need to pay some bills,
Some bills.
and this Charlie Butler Show is exclusively brought to you by the fine folks at Bossy Title. And as we say every week, and I can't say enough about the job that Jeff Bossy and his staff do.
They do an excellent job.
They really do. I mean, you know that if the problem can be solved, they're going to get it. I mean, there are things that happen, and people want to blame the title company, but there are certain judgments that, maybe huge judgments or whatever. Title company can't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, but they find all that stuff out. So what you've got. And, Bossy has Susan Vollmer, an excellent attorney on staff. And I'm not going to start naming names.
Because you'll forget somebody.
I'll forget a whole lot of somebody because he's got such a big behind the scenes staff.
Yeah.
And there's also Bossy Title in Tell City, and Candace is going to give you that Tell City number here in a minute.
I will. First, I'll give the Evansville number, which is 812-421-4000. But the one in Tell City.
If she pulls that out,
it's just taken me a minute to think of it. Oh, that's what it is. It's 812-772-2078. It just took me a minute to think about it.
I just thought of a real estate story that relates to title.
Okay.
Because before getting into real estate, I had no idea what a title search I did not even know that was a thing.
Me neither.
So I had this man who bought this house from his niece to help her out, and he just did a kind of quit claim deed, okay? And this is what is important. If you're buying for sale by owner or anything like this, you for sure want to go through the whole title search process.
Yes.
So once he bought this, the girl had, I think she had something to do with her car, was tied to her house, which was now tied to this man. So when we sold his house, he had to then pay off that loan that was stuck to the house that he did not know about until the whole title search process was going on when we sold it. But just an important, get title insurance, have a title search. Don't just trust somebody's word because you just never know.
Yeah, and as far as getting a quit claim deed, quit claims are probably the weakest form of deed out there. So go to the title company, get a warranty deed. If you buy something at sheriff's sale, tax sale, whatever, you can't get it right away, I don't think. But you can get one after a certain period of time, and I can't recall what that time is. And the sheriff's sale and tax sale thing is a whole different animal.
Oh, yeah, because then you're assuming anything tied to the property is now yours.
Yeah.
Right?
I used to have Bossy for a couple clients. I have them handle. They do the research. I'd always tell them, I said, we'll send you the business. You do the research for us. Well, these guys clients would go in there, and other people that weren't my clients too, that were veterans. So they would see $10,000 or $15,000 in judgments. So what their decision had to be was, okay, how much can we pay for the house and pay the judgments and still be okay? Mm-hmm. And still come out where we can go in and fix it, and make money. The issue sometimes here, couldn't always get in the house.
Oh, gosh.
So the sheriff's sale thing is sometimes a little rolling the dice. And when the house was vacant and you could get in it, I of course was never involved in this, but I know people who credit carded doors, to get in. But no one that I don't have a client who would do such a thing.
Don't name any names.
No. And sheriff's sale used to be a big, big thing. I mean, that city council room would be packed.
Oh, see, I'm not a gambling person, so that whole thought, even auctions, that terrifies me.
Yeah, the auctions you can usually get in.
Yeah, and you can usually have an inspection beforehand and stuff like that. But a sheriff's sale or tax sale, no thanks.
Yeah, and we got 5 minutes left, guys. Okay, so Candace,
I have a client of mine is in the military, and he has very limited times that he can communicate with.
Okay, well,
so I just got something, so I need to communicate with him while he's
We're going to leave
to...
Candace alone. Cori, you and I and Bobby will talk.
Okay.
And Bobby, how long have you lived in the same house?
The house we're in now, we moved in 2016.
Okay. So
are you ready to sell it? I know a good agent.
No, I think this will probably be the last one for us.
So has your experience been good? I want your honesty.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was my wife she handled most of it.
Right.
But yeah, we love the house. The process was super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're happy. We have no desire to move.
Good.
Sorry.
No, it's okay if you like your house. Why do you want to move?
Exactly. Yeah.
And
I like to think my house is my forever home. The one I'm in now.
Well, yeah, you got.
This is my fourth.
Yeah, but you got a really nice house.
I do like it. There are some things inside that still need to be brought up to date, but
will you downsize once all your kids are?
Nah, I don't know, because for what we have, And I mean, you and I have talked, like, everything's on the main level. We have a walkout basement, but all the kids' bedrooms are upstairs. So I think once that time comes, I just will not go upstairs.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
And you would still, when they come back,
Have that space.
have that space for, where they could stay, like, say, for it's Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever.
I try not to go upstairs now because then I start becoming angry and angry cleaning.
That's how I am whenever I go downstairs. And
Try
I
to just
see
avoid it.
my basement where my son lives.
Yeah.
And
Do that.
Candace, I don't know how much she can participate here, but I would tell a story and she can correct me. And we sometimes do this with Hispanic clients, and because none of us speak Spanish, not enough to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can.
I don't speak Spanish.
We can count and say hola,
Right.
But Candace recently had a deal where the people didn't speak English. Candace, you're done. You want to take over?
They had, initially, whenever I got the phone call, I got to tell this quick. We're at the end. Whenever I got the phone call, I thought that it was, because it was obviously a child, and I thought it was a child that was playing on the phone. I was like, oh. And then, she called again, and with the stuff she was saying, it's like she would start to talk, and then I'd hear whispering, and I thought, these are kids that are playing on the phone. Well, it wasn't. What she was doing is she was talking
Translating for her.
Yeah,
That's
and we
interesting.
went through that entire deal with I think she was 10 or 11 years old. And she was my partner. I mean, she did it because they did not understand a word I was saying, and I didn't understand a word they were saying. And it was a little challenging because some of the words that are involved in a real estate transaction are not in a 10 or 11-year-old child's vernacular. Like, it was very so that was a little bit of a challenge. But we got through it, and they have the house, and it looks really good. They made that attic. They extended it and made a whole other floor of the house.
Did she get a little bit of the commission?
She got the best closing gift. She liked unicorns, and I found every unicorn thing I could find. That's what she got.
I'm going to tell real quick, along Kansas vein. Anybody?
Can you tell it in 30 seconds?
I can, but that won't happen. You know that. You just going to cut out the us, Bobby. The liquor locker on First Avenue, where it's at, that was a Chinese restaurant. Closed down Chinese restaurant. We got a hold of the people, or the agent. I'm sorry, they had a listing agent. He said they don't speak any English. Neither brother that owned it they were both Chinese. They didn't speak any English, and so the daughter went to the University of Georgia. We had to wait for the daughter to get home, and then have a conference call, which we would ask her questions. We didn't know what their answers were. They gave them, and so this goes on. This goes on. But I mean, with the daughter, and they show up for closing and sign. Never talked to us. Of course, we wouldn't understood each other, so I don't guess it matters. But that there was not one word.
So the moral of both of these stories is, if you are bilingual, you need to get your real estate license and come be on the Charlie Butler team.
Yes. Or the Cori Walton team, of course. And the Charlie Butler team is hiring right now, so give us a call. We would love to talk to you. Cori and I are thinking about working out a trade of agents. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. And so, Bobby, I think we're over time, maybe.
Just a little.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Have fun editing this one.
For Bobby, I'm sure will work his magic, though.
No problem.
For Candace DeArmond, Cori, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And you were great, as always. And this is Charlie Butler. Have a great Sunday.
The following program is paid for by the Charlie Butler team. This program has been paid for by the Charlie Butler team. From the Kate Foppel Ford Studios, this is Newstalk 1280 WGBF.